We are ready to rock. Okay.
Cool.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thrive and Survive Research Hub. I'm here with my co-host, Tineiwo, and a very special guest, Mr. Brandon Yang. How are you doing, Brand?
I'm good, and yourself?
Very good.
Good. It's good. Hey, everyone.
See how you feel.
Welcome, Brad. I'm good. I'm excited. Ready to obviously pick on Brad's golden nuggets and looking forward to another great session.
Yeah, so I was saying to Brad just before we jumped on, he's such a good listener that it's actually refreshing to have him in the driver's seat when it comes to speaking. And I think a good place for us to start the pod off is just to say, so Brad, what do you do on a day-to-day? Let's talk about your company, HoneyWhale. What does HoneyWhale do, and what's your role at HoneyWhale?
Okay, great. So just want to give a thanks again for giving me this opportunity to be on this podcast. It really is great to link up with you guys. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk a little bit more about my story and be the speaker for a change. So just to talk about the business that we run, it's called HoneyWhale. We are digital growth specialists, and that's what we originally wanted us to be. But in the beginning, as businesses start off, they're very all over the place, right? So we've been in the digital industry for about just under 9 years now. And in these 9 years, we've had the absolute privilege to meet some international and some local experts that helped us gather the experience and knowledge that we have today, right? When we first started out in this industry, we did pretty much everything, right? We wanted to get our hands involved in anything that could be an influence in helping a business get online, right? So that was photography, videography, graphic design, brand design, app development, web development, marketing. We tried and did everything, right? But there's a problem with that, and it's that whole analogy of like you spreading yourself too thin, or you're putting your eggs in too many baskets.
Yeah.
Right. So about 4 to 5 years ago, my partner and I decided to niche down. So by the way, HoneyWhale is founded by two partners. My business partner, his name is Alistair, and myself. Right. So about 4.5 or almost 5 years now, Alistair kind of had a conversation with me. He was like, we need a niche down, right? We're spreading ourselves way too thin. We're offering way too many services, and it's actually causing us to deliver subpar quality.
Yeah, good at
we
everything,
have a standard at
great at
HoneyWhale.
nothing. That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the main drawing point. But the reason why we even had this conversation was because we actually picked out a gap in the digital industry, something that a lot of people weren't leveraging to its full potential. And a lot of people have heard of this term, which is one of the main services that we offer, and it's search engine optimization, right? And so because we used to do everything, we also did SEO, but on a very basic general level, right? At that point in time, I had done a couple seminars and online training courses where I would actually meet with a whole bunch of people and teach them this skill because there was such a gap in South Africa, especially, right? And so we actually had a client approach us about 4.5, 5 years ago, and they were a brand or business in Germany, and they had one problem, and that problem was they can't run any paid advertising online, right? They couldn't run any Google ads, they couldn't run any Meta ads, specifically because they sold supplements, right? They're a brand called Beyond Nutrition.
Yes.
And if any of our listeners are familiar with paid advertising, they would know that things like supplements or nutrition or diet or anything medicinal or medical gets banned or disapproved very quickly on a platform like Google and Meta, right? And so big companies, big corporate companies, they can circumnavigate around these policies to kind of get their products into the market in the digital space. Sometimes it takes a lot of budget, sometimes it takes a lot of time. And the thing is, with SMEs globally and in South Africa, they just don't have time. they need revenue and they need
and
customers.
resources. They don't have the resources to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so their question to us was like, what can we do now? You know, we're in this predicament where we can't really scale or grow, and it's because we can't run any advertising. And so what I did was I took the strategy with my partner that we've been kind of giving out for free over time, and we built it into one service offering. And what we did was we said to Beyond Nutrition, okay, great. How about we try this strategy with you guys? We were quite transparent with it. And if you guys see results from it, then, you know, perhaps we can continue working together, right? So what happened then was we executed that strategy in a 6-month period. And in 180 days, we managed to get them to the top of Google, rank 1 for the keyword supplement in Germany.
Wow.
And that was a pivotal point for us.
Yes.
Because we thought everyone has the stigma around, and I'm going to talk about 2 stigmas, but everyone has the stigma around organic marketing or SEO, where it's like, it's going to take you a year, it's going to take you 2 years, it's going to take you 3 years just to get to that spot. And then we got there in less than 180 days in an established economy.
Yeah.
So we were like, what if we brought this strategy to an emerging market like South Africa?
Yeah.
And so when we brought it to South Africa, and this was before the pandemic, we realized that we could get businesses and brands to the top of Google in less than 90 days. Right? Some of the people that are listening might be wondering, and it's usually it's what everyone wonders, which is, what is the worth of that? You know, what is the worth of ranking at the top of Google?
Well, if you're not,
And this
if
is
you're
where
not on the front page of Google, you don't exist as a first point, right?
Yeah.
100%. That's actually an ongoing joke that I make with my team and some of the people that we meet, which is, you know, the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google. Yeah, because
Exactly.
whoever goes there, right?
Oh, well, what kind of
And
madman
so
does
I'll
that?
start.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you must be desperate if you go to
Literally.
page 2 of Google.
100%.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's a Hail Mary.
Exactly.
Yeah, carry
So,
on.
so what I typically do is I ask people this question, which is, you know, and I'll ask it to you guys. How often do you Google something and you skip past the first few ad results and you click the first organic result?
Yeah, almost every time. Because you know the top ones are all paid, promoted. You know it's not actually
Exactly.
popular items.
100%. 100%.
Exactly. And so what if I told you that in the past 2 years, I've asked the same question to about 123, 124 people, and 116 of them gave me that exact same answer.
I believe it.
You know, and this is where I'd speak about the stigma of paid advertising or growth in the digital space, which is this stigma goes on a global scale. Merchants and marketers alike are fully under the impression that they need to run paid advertising campaigns with exorbitant budgets to generate a relative return, right? But if any of our listeners or you guys have any knowledge or experience in this, you know that paid advertising isn't relative, right?
Yeah.
You could spend $2,000 this month and make $4,000, but then next month you spend $4,000, you're not guaranteed to make 8,000.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's the problem. But all businesses have the same bottom line, right? I need to increase my customers to increase my revenue.
Yeah.
But when you throw in paid advertising into this loop, you almost create a negative perpetual cycle where I need more customers, I need more revenue, I need more budget to pay for more customers and then more revenue.
Yes.
Right. But my paid advertising budget won't be relative to what I'm bringing back.
100%.
Sometimes you could have an exorbitant, extremely high ROI, and other times you could have very low ROIs, and it's your job to figure out why.
Yeah.
It's too inconsistent, and it actually creates a lot of anxiety. Just recently, I met with these 2 founders of another agency, which I won't name just because, you know, to save their privacy, but they only focus on paid advertising. right? And I was talking to them, just having a conversation like we are today, and they told me how much they hate it because running paid advertising campaigns for all these different various clients, right, is so stressful because they always have to get ad copy approved. They have to test audiences. They have to do this and that. And sometimes ROI, they do the same strategy, but it's just not working anymore. And it stresses them out. But also, they're a month-to-month business. Their service is month to month, right? And that puts them in a position where they have very little security for their business. So
100%.
as business owners, they're constantly in a state of worry.
Yeah.
If I lose 2 clients this month,
Where's
our
the cash?
revenue drops from here to here, and our
Exactly.
cash flow is diminished, right?
Yeah.
Our profit level drops, and so we might not be growing effectively as a business anymore. And that was the same position that we were in,
Yeah.
right? But when we came across this service, or not came across, when we built this strategy and this service, we created security for our business where we could actually lock in projects in the 6 to 12-month period, some even going for 24 months, right? And this gives us not only an opportunity to build a stronger relationship with this client because we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
But at the same time, exactly. But at the same time, we've also got time to grow with them instead of going through, some businesses are seasonal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some businesses only experience that growth in winter or in summer.
And also,
But when we're
I
with
just
them
want
for
to
the
add,
entire year,
you have a
yes.
sustainable, you have a sustainable approach. You're not focused on short-term results that are maybe one-off because your agreement is longer. So, like if you have a really
Exactly.
if you have a short-term approach, you just have this immediate effect and then you out. And you don't care
Yes.
the consequences because sometimes people can get a short-term gain, but once that short-term gain is gone, they're left off in a worse position than before.
Exactly.
I just wanted to jump in because you have a lot of experience in the e-commerce space, and that's something that you are heavily involved in.
Yeah.
I'm curious if what Brad is saying here resonates with you in any way in terms of the things you've seen.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I mean, I think Brad summarized it quite well, but the reality is that, the big corporates want to focus on the core competencies. And as the world changes and becomes more dynamic, they want to completely focus on creating operational efficiencies within their core business. The reality is that e-commerce is definitely, a growth channel, a strategic growth channel for everybody. But the reality is that if you utilize your current skill set to try and master e-commerce, then you lose touch of operational competencies that you need to kind of optimize.
Right.
So what Brandon's business is doing is very different because it's not a consultancy, and I think when it comes to e-commerce, the consultancy firms might find it hard to get in purely because of the fact that it's not a one-off job. And the reality also is that when you're working with the companies who are trying to grow the e-commerce platforms, you almost get to learn their business and at a certain point become part of the business and therefore require a rolling contract to obviously continue executing at the rate that you are. And the most interesting thing about it, like Brandon was saying, is that it's continuous journey of test and learns.
Yeah.
And the refining of the test and learns and then picking the best. But it's also a double-edged sword because your test and learns get to a point where they expire and you need to start again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So companies, employees don't have that time. And they're simply looking for partners who can help them accelerate their digital growth without them having to overcommit themselves internally.